Hey guys, Gathering Magic back again, and wanted to put together a video. I think I've talked about it before in previous streams and episodes that I've done, is how are we going to replace Chaos Legion with Rebellion moving forward when Conclave Arcana comes out in April. So right now, you guys know if you play in Wild or Modern both, a majority of both formats are dominated still with Chaos Legion. You know, there are a few higher end accounts that do have Rebellion, but for the most part, at least for me, when I play Bronze, Silver, Low Gold, I very rarely see any Rebellion cards other than, you know, the occasional Legendary Summoner. So I just wanted to go through all the Chaos Legion cards. Got it separated by just base, Chaos Legion Reward, and Rift Watchers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each set. I'm not going to go through every card, but some of the key cards in each set, the ones that we're used to seeing and playing against all the time, and see if there's any comparable cards in Rebellion currently. I'm going to be looking mainly at the Rebellion core set. I'm not going to be looking at the reward cards, but I will talk about the Rebellion reward cards towards the end of the video, and why I think it's really imperative if you're not already, and I'm sure most of you guys watching this video are, that you are building up your reward cards because I feel they are not only very powerful, but they have some abilities that's really lacking in Rebellion. So we'll get towards that at the end of the video. So basically, this video, is it possible to replace Chaos Legion with Rebellion? How will your strategy changed? This is part one. Part two will come out later this week. So we're going to go through the cards. We're going to look at what replacements there are for Chaos Legion. Once we go through all this and I get you thinking, get the wheels grinding, and you're like, okay, you know, I see what abilities are missing, how I'm going to have to change my strategy, how do I put a team together? So part two will be new strategies and what are the strengths of each splinter. Some splinters you may be used to seeing as magic heavy or ranged heavy. They may be completely different now. And certain abilities that you're used to using may no longer be in the game. And speaking of new abilities or abilities that are gone, looking at Rebellion Core, these are abilities that are no longer in Rebellion. So once the new Modern comes out in April, you're not going to see Death Blow anymore. You're not going to see Giant Killer, Force Field, Knockout. The big one is Martyr, Rebirth, or Recharge. Now, I'm not sure if any of these are going to be added in Conclave Arcana, but none of these will be in the core set or are currently in the core set of Rebellion. So just keep that in mind. So like Force Field, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, staying under 5 damage in case you hit a force field. You're not going to have to worry about Martyr, you know, with people, you know, sacrificing those cards and, you know, pumping the cards next to them. Recharge, which is one that people, I don't think anyone really cared for any cards with Recharge. Those are gone, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then also, there's only one card in Rebellion that has Bloodlust, one that has Demoralize, one that has Retaliate, and one that has Resurrect. So these are some also very good abilities that maybe you're used to using currently, and they are going to be very limited going forward. So the team has talked about, you know, removing or retiring certain abilities. These might be some of the abilities that are retired. We'll also have to see moving forward if they decide to remove some rule sets. One of the rule sets I think they may retire in the new Modern will be Are You Not Entertained, where you may not be able to use Gladiator cards anymore in the new Modern. Because with the Soulbound Summoners rotating out, the only way you will be able to use Gladiator cards in the new Modern is with that rule set. Okay, so let's get started. So let's look at the commons. So the commons in Rebellion right now, none of the commons have flying. Now, I thought this was interesting because, you know, we see the rule set a lot of Earthquake, and we're just so used to so many cards having flying, whether it's Pelacor Mercenary, Pelacor Conjurer, or Bandit. You know, a lot of common cards, we're just used to that. There are no Rebellion common cards in the core set with flying. Thorns is another one. There is no Thorns for commons in Rebellion. No Swiftness, Opportunity, and the big ones are Protect and Repair. So we're so used to having Scavo Hireling for repair. We're used to, you know, other cards that give protect. That is not the case in Rebellion, at least for the commons. Sneak, for people that like sneak teams. The only common cards that have Sneak and Rebellion core set are the Gablano Soldier, which is a fire card, and Fenmore Haunt, that is a death card. So those are your only sneaks for the common rarity. Tank Heal, for life, they have the Merryput Magician. For shield, there's 3 cards that have shield. Grimbarden Fighter, which is a key card, it's neutral. Chaos Rearguard for water, and the Merryput Magician actually does have shield at level 5 for your healer. Affliction, the only card with Affliction for commons is the new Ska Drudge. With slow, your only slow for commons are going to be the Dagon Dark Surveyor once it hits level 5. Poison, poison was something I was used to in Chaos Legion. The different cards at different levels that would be able to poison the enemy monsters. There's only one card with poison for commons, and that is the Lurking Puffer at level 10. What's interesting about this is this card does not attack. So the only way it's going to apply poison if it is paired with a weapons training card. So we'll get to that also later in the video. For stun, the only 2 cards with stun are the Surveyor at level 10 and the Sultry Barmaid at level 3. And then for self-heal for commons, the only self-healing card is the Skyspire Yak at level 9. So as you can see, for your common cards, which are the basis for a lot of your decks, there's a lot of abilities that are very, very limited in Rebellion Core. Okay, so now let's go through just Chaos Legion. We're going to go through the common cards first. A lot of the cards I think that are ones that you guys are used to seeing a lot, and the abilities they have, and if there's any type of replacement in Rebellion. So the first card I wanted to go with is Riftwing. I see this card a lot. I see it paired up with Moxian Rebel. It has flying, it gets scavenge, you give it 1 magic damage. It can be very annoying. Very good card, very useful card. There really isn't a replacement for this in Rebellion. A card that just take out the flying. There aren't a lot of cards that even have Scavenge in Rebellion. I think there's only 2 in the whole core set. So this is a very good, unique combination. There aren't any replacements in Rebellion. Silent Chevi, another sneak card with Cripple. The only sneak card for death is the Fenmore Haunt. It's a little bit weaker, but it's also, I believe, maybe 1 less mana. I can go check. Let's look at Sneak. Fenmore Haunt. So it's 2 less mana. So it only costs 3. It does 2 damage, 2 speed, and 3 health. It does have Scavenge, one of the few cards that does, but it gets that at a higher level. And it does have Sneak. Okay, Goblin Psychic is a big one. The healer that heals your tank and has Affliction. Your only real healer that's comparable is the Magician, and that's in life. So Earth, at least for the common slot, is losing its healer. Big one is Deep Lurker. Everybody knows Deep Lurker with that opportunity, and then at higher levels it gets poison. You really only have 3 choices for opportunity going forward. And they are not in the common. Let's get this cleared. So your only choices are these 4 cards. None of them are common, so your common opportunity is gone. Probably the closest one is Mad Ogre Anarchist. It is a little bit weaker at level 1, but as it levels up, it will get that 3 damage, but it doesn't get poison. It ends up getting immunity. So that's a neutral card, so that's nice because it can be played with any splinter. The Chaos Jailer does get poison. I think it's one of the only 2 cards that have poison in the set. So it does have the opportunity and the poison. It has ambush, so it'll get that attack at the beginning of battle, but it's not going to do hardly any damage. I think this thing only maxes out at 2 damage. So you're not getting the damage like you do with Deep Lurker. It doesn't get 2 damage until max level at level 8, but you do have that poison ability at level 2. So higher chances of getting poison earlier, but you're not going to do as much damage. Torch Vizier, that also has opportunity, doesn't have poison, but it gets Reflection Shield, and at level 2 it picks up that third attack. Once it hits level 6, it gets 4 attack, and then maxed out it gets 5. So in a way, it's a little bit better than Deep Lurker, except it doesn't get the poison. So for a lot of these cards, I think you guys know you're not going to find exact matches. You're not going to find a card in Chaos Legion and have an exact match. So just trying to find things that are close. Repair is a big thing. We are so spoiled with having Scavo Hireling. As a common card, being able to repair armor right off the bat. Neutral, being able to use it in any splinter. There's hardly anything with repair. If I go and show you repair, let's even take it off of common and just look at repair in general. And this is for all of Rebellion for the core. The only two cards that have repair are the Bolter, and this is at level 6. So this is for a rare. So you're looking at gold level to get repair, and then the Rune Seer level 3. So this is once again a gold level legendary summoner. So if you're playing in bronze or silver, you really are not going to have access to repair unless you have EMP, unless you have the legendary summoner. He's the only one that would be able to give a low level battle the ability to repair. So repair is pretty much non-existent going forward for the lower levels, at least for Rebellion Core. Disintegrator with the Demoralize and Trample. Once again, a great neutral card with that Demoralize. There's not a lot of cards, hardly at all, that have Demoralize. So if we look at Demoralize, the only card that has it in the set is an Epic, and that is at level 6. So it's a maxed out Epic, and it's only for the Fire Splinter. So that's the only way you're going to get Demoralize from Rebellion. Supply Runner, once it hits level 5, Max Silver gets the Swiftness ability. There's really no Swiftness either in Rebellion. If you go to Rebellion here and look for Swiftness, there's only 2 cards that give Swiftness, and they are both legendary. So if the main part of your deck, you're just focusing on building up your commons and rares and maybe tossing in a few epics, if you don't have these legendaries, yep, there is no Swiftness for the other rarity cards. And then finally, Chaos Agent, a great 1-mana neutral card, with backfire, dodge, and phase. The only card that's comparable, if you want to call it that, is Nibbledook Scout from the Fire team. Simply because it does have backfire. It is a card with no attack, so you can pair it up with Moxie and Rebel to kind of get that effect. Eventually, it will get Inspire and Blast. So a decent card, but just not completely comparable with the Chaos Agent. Okay, moving to rares. One of my favorite cards that I use constantly for the Death Team, Curse Windiku, with the Thorns, and then eventually at level 5 he gets a heal. You do actually have a pretty nice replacement, and it is on the Earth team. So I may end up moving my favorite Splinter from Death to Earth, because I think I'm really going to like this card. Lysaros, which is combination Lion and Rhinoceros. So a little bit more expensive, 7 instead of 6. 2 damage. He does have Thorns. The nice thing is he has 3 armor. He doesn't get a heal, but he does get Trample. So not completely comparable, but he is a decent tank at that 6-7 mana range, and he has Thorns. So he's pretty comparable there. Life Sapper, the ones that have Life Leech, once again, there's certain abilities they just don't have in the set. So if you look at Life Leech, the only 2 cards with Life Leech are both legendary. So if you're not, and they are both gold level, so you are not going to see Life Leech, for a lower deck. You're not going to see a bronze deck or a rare deck with Life Leech from Rebellion. The Stalker, another card that I love to use with the Death Team with that True Strike and 3 or 4 range damage. You do have a few options for True Strike for range damage. Actually, as you can see, there's quite a few cards that have True Strike. There's 9 cards total. But when we kind of focus in on ranged, you've got the Demon here. Starts out with 2 range damage, but it's Scattershot. So I don't know if that's going to make a big difference to you or not, because the Stalker always attacks the front. This is just a Scattershot attack. The Beast is slow. Same damage, 3 damage to start with, True Strike and Affliction. So this is a very nice card. Affliction is also another ability there's not a whole lot of in Rebellion. The Drudge, he does have that same combination, and it is Death, so it's the same Splinter. True Strike, and he has Affliction. Let's see how much damage he ends up doing. So he does pick up his 3rd damage, but not until level 8. And let's see, what else does he get? So he ends up with armor, 6 health. So he's very slow. Well, 3 speed is decent, I guess. But he does have 3 damage, True Strike, and Affliction. So I would say that's pretty comparable there. And then the Drudge and the Demon for fire, we talked about those. Taunt. Taunt is a thing that's really going to be missing from Rebellion. There's only 2 cards with Taunt in Rebellion Core. One is Baradalan, the legendary card for life, has Taunt. And then the Demon for death, rarity, also has Taunt. So 2 decent Taunt monsters, decent amount of health. But, you know, like I said, there's just not a lot of taunts out there. So Earth is losing its taunt. Regal Purrington with the flying, the magic damage, and the high speed, there's really nothing comparable to that. Angelic Mandarin, I threw that on there because at higher levels it gets triage. The only real triage monster in core is the Forester for life. It's level 5 to get that ability. It is a common. The Guardian for blue, we all know it has the tank heal and the repair. Your 2 tank heals are the Soothsayer, which gets its heal at level 2. Tank heal for water, and then Mariput Magician gets it right off at level 1 for life. So those are going to be your 2 healers. Demon Shark. How many times have we come up against Demon Shark with that trample and enrage? One of the cards I think people may be overlooking is Chaos Orc. Because let's look at trample and enrage, especially enrage. This is something I thought was very interesting. So if you look at enrage, the only card with enrage in Rebellion, the core, is Chaos Golem, and it gets it at level 2. And look what else it gets. It gets retaliate. So if we look at retaliate, if I can find retaliate right there, it's the only card. So Chaos Golem is the only card with retaliate and the only card with enrage. It is a legendary, but you know, if you guys can afford it, this card is going to be very, very good. And you know, it's going to basically replace what, a common card? Or no, a rare card. So it just shows how powerful that Chaos Legion was. You know, cards that we took for granted at the rare level are now considered legendary in Rebellion. Time Mage with the slow and the rust, I wanted to throw that on there just because there's not a lot of slows. Chaos Jailer for death, I think is one of the few cards that has slow. Yep, so these are the only 2 cards that have slow in the core set. A common, the Surveyor at level 5. These 2 mana cost cards I think are all must. If you guys don't have them, you need to get these, all of the 2 mana cost non-attacking cards to level 4 or 5. I think they all get them at 5 except for one gets an ability at 4. These things are so nice and key, and they pair up just wonderfully with any weapons trainer. So, you know, they are commons, but, you know, these things are definitely must-have at level 5. As you can see, this one has Magic Reflect, Slow, and Stun. So once you pair it with, you know, a weapons trainer, this is great. A lot of the abilities that we're used to seeing are just very limited in Rebellion. Chaos Jailer as well, you know, great with that poison and opportunity, and then you throw in a slow as well. So this is another great card, and it's only rare. It's not an epic or legendary. Pelacor Arbalist, the card that I hate, going up against life and having that double strike. Archery damage coming at me. Double strike is another ability that has really been nerfed for this set. So if you look at double strike, you know, you're used to like Grund with the double strike with 3 or 4 melee damage coming at you. This is the double strike, guys. This is it. 2 cards, both archery. One of them is scattershot, so you may not even hit the same thing twice. And, you know, just not big damage. You're not seeing 3s and 4s here. You know, even leveled up, max level this thing is 2 damage. And the Ranger, I believe, is the same thing. Okay, at level 8, you know, he is a common, so you got to get him to level 8 to be able to do 2 damage double strike. So they really nerfed it. I don't know if they just thought that Grun was too OP or what, but yep, double strike is another ability that we've come to love, but it's not going to be in Rebellion. And then Zenith Monk for the final rare, just for the heal in the void, you know, 4 mana, good for Little League, neutral card. The only two cards that really had at least a little bit similar abilities for the heal are Sea Dog of 8 has a heal, but it's 7 mana. Another 4 cost card, but it's only for life, it's not neutral, is the Yak, but you have to get it all the way to level 9 to get that heal, as opposed to the Monk that gets that heal at level 2. So once again, it's nice to have, but it's just such a high level. It's not as good as the Chaos Legion Virgin. Okay, so looking at Grunn, we already talked about Grunn with the double strike and trample. There's really no replacement here. Wave Brood with the taunt. As we mentioned earlier, the only two taunts are the Demon for death and then Bara for the life team. And then Forgotten One with retaliate and immunity. There's really nothing there, nothing comparable at all. And then finally looking at some of the legendary cards. Let's show you the list here. So Queen Mycelia with the protect and the triage. The only comparable card was Runeseer Savea. So if we look at Protect, you can see that she has Protect and Repair. The only other card that has Protect is the Silverblade Fighter at level 6. So this is at gold level. So at lower levels, the only way you can get that Protect is Savea, or you can be farming reward cards because there is a common reward card that does give you Protect. But for this, we're just talking about the core set. Okay, River Helendale, the main thing here is the Resurrect and the Inspire. So you Resurrect Commander Goff. So if you look at Resurrect, there's only one card that has Resurrect Commander Goff. And he's a very good comparable card, actually, because he does have Inspire and he does have Resurrect. So this is about as close a match as I found between Chaos Legion and Rebellion. River Helendale moving to Commander Goff. Adelaide Brightwing with the Repair and Resurrect. The Runeseer is good for the Repair. Commander Goff is good for the Resurrect, but there's really not a card that does both. Grum Flameblade with the Bloodlust and Void Armor. There's nothing comparable. In fact, there's only one card in the core set that has Bloodlust at all. That's on a rare, it's magic damage, and it's Scattershot. So it's going to be very difficult to get that Bloodlust to trigger if you're randomly hitting targets. Bakjira with the Slow, Void, and the Heal. Nothing comparable in Rebellion. Jin Murray with the Void Armor, Stun, Magic Reflect. Once again, nothing comparable. Chaos Dragon, awesome card with the flying, the Scattershot Blast, tons of fun to play. Nothing comparable there. There's very little Blast at all. In fact, if you want to look at Blast, there's only two cards that have Blast. There's really only one, the Pirate of 8. It's a reach monster that only does 1 melee damage to start with Blast. Other than that, your only other Blast card is a max level common Nimbledook Scout. And of course, this is only going to get Blast if you pair it with Weapons Training and it can actually attack. So there's really only one Blast card if you think about it. No Blast Archery unless, pair it with Weapons Training or Magic. So that's interesting. Okay, Void Dragon with the Void and Phase. So we've got the Eurojack Mystic, level 5 for the Earth team, and then the Legendary Rage card for Dragon. So looking at Void and Phase. So looking at Void, the Mystic does, it's good for Little League, 1 magic damage to start. He does have Void, which will help in that, magic only rule set. And then of course Rage has, the huge hit points, the huge mana cost as well, 4 magic damage, and he has Void. Carnage Titan with the double strike. We mentioned earlier there's really not double strike monsters, so there's nothing there. And then Spirit Hoarder, with the triage, Dispel, and Blind, nothing there as well. Looking at the Chaos reward cards, you're going to see a lot of nuns here, guys. A lot of the cards that we just took for granted for commons that are just so powerful are just nowhere to be found at any rarity in Rebellion Core. All these commons that had flying and we're so used to throwing into the Earthquake rule sets, flying is gone. There's hardly, one card with Retaliate, only a couple cards with Sneak, so they're just not there. Fungus Flinger, just so key. That and Firecaller for the Martyr. Martyr is gone. There's no repair at the common level for Swamp Spitter. no double striking, piercing coastal sentry, no enraging, retaliating drybone barbarian. The closest thing that I mentioned earlier is that Chaos Golem, which I will be really surprised if this card doesn't move to $10 plus a BCX once Conclave Arcana and all that comes out. That card is just so good. That thing is just, well, you know how good the Drybone Barbarian is. You know, you've played against it. I know you have, because I have, and this thing can just wreck you very, very quickly with that Enrage and Retaliate. Ferox Defender, you know, awesome combination of Protect and Repair. There's nothing like that in Rebellion. Damaki Orc with the Shield and Retaliate, neutral card. Nothing there as well. Moving to the rares, Riverboat Captain mentioned there's really no cards with Blast unless you get one of the no attack cards and pair it with weapons training. Nothing there. Ravenhood Warden with the Protect and Inspire. So if you want to go with Protect, mentioned a little bit earlier, Silverblade Fighter, so he will give protection, but at a lot higher level. So now you're looking level 6, so you're looking, like I said, at max gold, where the Warden would give it to you right away at, you know, first level. So same thing with the Wavesmith, getting the Protect. If you can wait till level 6 with the Fighter, that's the only way you're going to get that. War Pegasus with the Shatter. Torch Mirror, let's take a look. Shatter, I don't think there was a whole lot of Shatter as well. And where is Shatter? Right there. So these are your Shatter cards. Now, the Soldier does have Shatter, and it's nice. It's only 3 mana, but it's Sneak. So he's going to shatter what's ever in the back. You want to shatter usually the tank and get rid of the tank's armor. So you can either go with a max level Kai, or, you know, more affordable version would be Torch. But you have to get to a level 6, which once again, you're not going to be able to hit that level in bronze or silver. So this is going to be gold level, where he will get that shatter for, you know, the enemy tank. Where are we on the list? Crystal Smith with the tank heal and dispel. You've got the 2 new healers. You've got the Soothsayer with water, and you've got the Mariput Magician at level 1 for life. Gargoyle Devil, this is a card I see a lot. Just the flying aspect, being able to attack at close range. Once again, the Torch is probably, you know, a good substitute for that. It's not neutral. He does cost 1 more, but he has close range. You know, he's got a decent attack to start. He's got armor, you know, good health. So, and he's fast at 5. So he's a good replacement, but unfortunately he's not neutral. He is only for the fire team. And then the Dhampir Infiltrator for Dragon. That double strike, sneak, cripple monster. Yeah, there's nothing comparable to that. Epics. Some great epics in rewards for Chaos. Lava Launcher, we'll go through the ones that don't have a comparable one. Lava Launcher, nothing. You know, Uraeus, such a great card at neutral with the sneak and poison, nothing comparable. Jin Renova, strengthen and triage, nope. Clockwork Aid with swiftness, very low swiftness. Jin Chihuahua with the thorns, as we mentioned earlier. Lysaros with earth is comparable. Tidebiter with reach and reflection shield. Pirate of 8 has reach, and Pirate of 8, I think, was one of the few cards that has blast. So this is a decent card for Tidebiter, kind of to compare one to the other. It doesn't have reflection shield, but being able to attack, you know, from the second position is nice. It is, you know, Little League, same splinter, but, you know, he has blast, so it's the weaker version too of the Riverboat Captain. Let's see what else we got here on the list. Noah the Rust. Should be Noah the Just. I like calling him Noah the Rust. So with that Rust ability, the ones that have Rust, as you can see on the list, you've got Lord Thanalor, which is a legendary at level 3, so gold level, or, you know, also in gold level, the Wailing Wraith that has Rust. And then Idri Fire, as we talked about with Taunt Redemption. The only real 2 taunt cards, the only comparable one is the Demon. For legendary cards, Jin O'Shaughnessy, that, you know, everybody uses. We love the card. Void, Phase, Force Field. Of course, Force Field's going away. Phase and Void are very limited. There's no replacement there. Heartclaw, with shield and immunity. One card I think people are definitely going to want to get, at least at a decent level, is the Grimbarden Fighter. Shield is going to be key. Shield right here. So you can see there's not very many cards that have shield. The Magician is, obviously your healer, so you're not going to have this card in front. So you've got Chaos Rearguard, which is going to be good for Little League for the water team with that shield. But Grimbarden Fighter is the one that you're really going to want to get because a lot of the Splinters do not have a good tank in Rebellion for the core. So this is your best option. It's very expensive at 9, which really stinks, but it does have 3 damage to start. He's got armor, and that shield is huge. At higher levels, it will get Reflection Shield and Corrosive Ward. So that is nice. Countess Sinesh with Opportunity, Swiftness, and Blast. Nothing there. Kulu Mastermind, another card that everybody loves pairing that card with No Other Rust. When you have melee only, melee can attack from any position. With that weapons training, the only really comparable card for weapons training is Krar. I think that's how you pronounce it. So it has weapons training and it does have melee attack. This eventually, I believe, will get to 3, but not until max level. So it kind of stinks that you can't give 3 damage to your other monsters until you max this card out, but it is what it is. And you can see on the screen, these are your weapons training cards going forward. All the other ones are going to be gone. Iziar is going to be gone. Avis is going to be gone. So these are your choices. 2 of them are legendary. So if legendaries are out of your budget or out of your range, Moxine Rebel is, to me, a must-have card. If you're going to start with Rebellion, one of the cards you want to get, just get level 1. You want to have at least 1 copy of this card. I think it's just a little over $1, so anyone can afford it. You need to get that weapons training and get that 1 damage. There are so many cards in Rebellion that don't have attack that this card is going to pair up nicely with. It's Little League. It's a neutral. You can put it anywhere. This card probably should be epic, not rare. But hey, take it for what it is. Get that card, definitely. Krar is your only one in weapons training that will give melee. It's an epic. I believe it's fairly affordable. And then Iron Hood is the one that will give range damage, weapons training. Also one of the few cards as well that has redemption, and immunity is just kind of a nice bonus. So I would say the 2 epics and definitely Moxine Rebel are the weapons trainers that you definitely want to have. If you can afford it, get 1 copy of Darg or 1 copy of Rage. But if that's out of your price range, if you've got Moxine Rebel, Krar, and Iron Hood, at least you've got all 3 damage types covered. Let's see. Yep, Avis with the weapons training, Darg. Iziar with the taunt. The comparable one for taunt was Bara. Phyrexian Hero, we just talked about Core. Drybone Raider, great card with that double strike, the double attack plus shatter. Nothing close to it in this set. I wanted to throw just a few Rift Watcher cards on the list. I don't see a whole lot of Rift Watchers, at least in the leagues that I play in. I play in Bronze, Silver, and Low Gold. I would say 90-95% of the cards I see are Chaos Legion and Chaos Legion reward cards. Occasionally I'll see a Rebellion Legendary Summoner. I'll see Moxine Rebel, a couple other cards. But man, Rift Watchers, I just do not see hardly any of it. Even Inevitable, which is probably the best card in Rift Watchers, don't see a whole lot of it, but it is, a fantastic card with that shield, triage, and repair. Nothing comparable. Corsair Boson, really the only comparable card with that reach. It doesn't have a reflection shield. It's Palace, the neutral card. There aren't any neutral or aren't any reach cards that do a considerable amount of damage, at least starting out. Kai is nice, but it's a legendary. Palace starts out at 3. Pirate of 8 only gets, well, it does get 4 attack eventually. So Pirate of 8 would be a good card to get as well if you're going to level this thing up. It starts at 1. It's a rare. If you're playing max silver, you can get it up to 2. If you're playing in gold, you can get it up to 3. But, I'm just so spoiled with Corsair coming out, with 4 or 5 damage right off the bat. So a little bit of a weaker option, but at least that option is there. Plus with that blast is going to be nice. So I would say another key card that you probably want to get in Rebellion and at least get a copy is Pirate of 8. Just be able to have that blast, which is going to be very limited in this in Rebellion Core. Little League, the Water Splinter, so that is a good card to pick up. Wailing Wraith with reach, the attack with your armor is very nice, then it'll get Affliction and Rust. So there are some good cards available, but it seems like they're kind of nerfed from Chaos Legion, and you have to get them a lot higher level to get as good as a lower level Chaos Legion card is. Okay, and I think that is it for part 1. So one thing that I wanted to mention before I end the video is if you're thinking, oh, Rebellion is just kind of a waste and, it's not as good as Chaos Legion, I'm just going to go ahead and skip Rebellion. The one thing I want to point out to you guys before I end this is just how good the Rebellion reward cards are. Now, I know you guys are playing every day, you're staying the course, you're keeping on forging, you're having tons of fun, but also your fun is going to be well rewarded because let's just look at these common cards and look at what abilities they have and look at the gaps they fill in for the Rebellion core set. Let's start with the Drybone Hobgoblin. So one of the things that we mentioned earlier is, let me look for Shatter. So your only real option for Shatter was the Soldier, but he's going to shatter the back. Torch Miradon is going to be the only card that shatters the front, but he costs 8 and it's fire. Well, look at this. For your fire team as well, if you can get him to level 8, which, it's kind of high up there, he's in the reach position, he also has shatter. So the fire team has got at least a couple options when it comes to shatter. So very good ability, keep that in mind. Let's look at Chaos Evoker. So Chaos Evoker, max level, the dodge may not seem all that important, but with this speed, you're probably going to put this card in the back. If not in the 5th position, 6th position. So if you've got 4 speed and you've got dodge, you're going to survive for quite a while. This is what's huge. Ambush with 2 magic damage and Blast. Remember how Blast is so lacking in the core set. Ambush, so you're going to attack before the battle even starts. You're going to do 2 damage to the 1st position and 1 damage to the 2nd position. Then the battle starts. You're probably going to go, towards the beginning. You're going to do 2 blast damage again. 2 in the front, 1 to the 2nd. So very good card. I really, really like this card. Next, the Skink, which is just an awesome tank. Remember how I mentioned earlier that you guys are going to be struggling finding what tanks that you want to use for each of your splinters. You're not going to have to worry about water. Water's got several very good tanks. The Skink might be overlooked because everyone is looking at oh, what's his name? I knew I would forget it already. Commander Slade. So everybody loves Commander Slade, but don't overlook the Skink. Get it to level 5, which is max silver. He's got shield, 4 attack, which is nice, 4 speed, very good, decent health, couple armor, plus he has phase. There's very few tanks that I can think of that have shield and the ability to dodge magic, because usually tanks have the weakness against magic. So phase is a very nice addition. Plus, if you get it maxed out, you get that stun. How many stuns are there in the core set? Very, very few. So 4 cards with stun. One of them is a card that doesn't attack. So your only stun cards are the Barmaid for water, the Redworm Dragon for the Dragon Splinter, and this is at a very high level, and then a maxed Nalara. So very few chances to get stun with the core set, so why not get a stun card for free just by playing every day? So that's the Skink. The Trader, I like the Trader because of the headwinds. And then at max level, it gets a heal, which is very nice. Just put it in the back and it can heal itself. The Huntress, another great, just fantastic card. I mean, look at this. 4 mana, 4 damage, 4 speed, 7 health, flying, charge, so it can attack from any position, and it's definitely going to hit flying enemies and remove flying. Perfect for Little League, perfect for the Earthquake rule set. Remember what I said earlier, how in the core of Rebellion there are no flying cards? Well, there is with the reward cards. So this is definitely a card that you want to get leveled up as high as you can now. The Wild Elf. Camouflage is nice. The great thing is it gets 2 magic damage right off the bat, and then eventually it'll get cripple. Nice little addition, pretty decent card. The Explorer, here we go. A common card that has Protect right off the bat. This is what you need. This is what's really, really lacking in Rebellion Core. So Nimbletook Explorer is just a must-have for the Life team. You know, it's Little League. He's got no attack, so you can pair it with any weapons trainer. Just a fantastic card. You know, you get to level 5, he can actually attack with its armor, and then eventually it gets a self-heal. So just a great card. At common, I'm really surprised this card's not rare. Next is the Demon. So Cleanse, you get at level 3, so very attainable. Snipe, not a whole lot of cards with Snipe, and 3 damage is very good. You know, it never gets more damage than 3, but if you're going to start anywhere, yeah, let's do 3 damage. A little bit pricey, but that Cleanse is going to be huge, and then eventually Triage. So did we talk about Triage earlier? And there's not a lot of cards with Triage in this set. You've got 2. So your only Triage cards are a legendary card, or for the Life team also if you get the Forester. And this is one of the cards I talked about earlier. A no attack 2-mana card you want to get to level 5 because it's going to have that Return Fire and Triage. Broken Earth Thug, nice little card. I want to say it's a little sneak card, but it is a little opportunity card. He's kind of like a mini Deep Lurker in a way. You get him maxed out, he does get that 3 attack. Doesn't get poison, but he has opportunity and cripple. Great little combination here. Nice card. The Brave, I was kind of down on the Brave in the beginning because I'm like, oh, he only does 1 damage, you know, and all that. But immunity is really going to be good for the, you know, the poison rule sets, of course. And he does get 3 attacks. So if you get him maxed out, you know, he's one of the few cards with silence. And actually, I think Death has 2 cards with silence. But you get that 3 damage. 6 is decent, not too expensive for a lot of armor and health. So don't overlook this card as well. You want as many cards as you can get in your arsenal going forward. And then finally the neutral card. The Conscript is great, you know, for protection against those sneak guys. There's not a ton of sneak monsters in the main set, but you want to make sure that you prepare against them. So you're going to actually hit the enemy in the back line. If he tries to hit you in the back line and you're in the 6th position, he's going to get hit with thorns. So the good thing about this card is as it levels up, it gains a health all the way up to 9, and then it finally gains another attack and then backfire. So if he hits you, he's going to take thorns damage, and then if he misses, he's going to take 2 damage from the backfire. And then finally, just a fantastic support card. I love the Elder. If you're playing in Diamond and Champ, you really want to get this card maxed out. This card is just phenomenal. Don't look at the damage. That's not the main thing. It's Little League, it's neutral, you can put it in any deck. Camouflage, it can't be targeted. If for some reason there's a scatter shot that happens to hit it, it's got a Divine Shield, so that scatter shot's not going to matter. He's going to strengthen everybody on your team by 1, and he's going to improve your swiftness by 1. So as we mentioned earlier, there is hardly any swiftness at all in the core set other than legendaries. So be able to get a swiftness with a common card in this set is fantastic. So those are your commons. Let's go through the rares real quick. So the Megalodon is going to be another good choice for your tank going forward. Just get him to level 2 and you're doing 4 damage. Look at this. At the beginning of battle, you know, it's got flank. What are you going to put behind it? You're probably going to be putting Mana Warden right behind it, because then Mana Warden will be able to attack, and Mana Warden's going to give him shield. So now you've got a decent tank with shield, and he's doing 4 damage. You get him a little bit higher level, and he's got Retaliate, which is very lacking in the core set as well. And then finally, if you get him maxed out, throw Thorns on top of it. So don't overlook the Megalodon. I'm sure if you guys have him maxed out, you're using him in Diamond and Champion. Okay, Megalodon, Continuum Seer. Let's look at what this card is. So at max level, look at this. This is just nuts. Little League, 3 magic damage, 8 speed. Are you kidding me? 8 with backfire and phase. Okay, the only thing that's bad about it is it only has 2 health, but odds are this thing's gonna go first. It's gonna hit for 3. If you try to hit it, no matter where it is, odds are you're gonna miss. So you're gonna take 2 damage, and then even with magic, you've got a chance to miss. So this thing is gonna be super hard to hit, a lot of fun to play. Commander Slade, we all know how good Commander Slade is with the dodge, reflection shield, and backfire. Razorhound, you know, not very many cards have Strengthen in this set as well, so if you can get a reward card and get Strengthen, that's awesome. Plus the True Strike and the Void. The Nomad, once again, another Strengthen and a Triage. So as you guys know, there's not a lot of those in the core set. I love the Legionary. This has been my defense against Korra, but look what else it gets. It's the second card that has Bloodlust. So you have Bloodlust, you have Thorns, you have Close Range. Yeah, this is another card that can get very nasty at high levels. Johnny Rebel, I don't think I played this card a whole lot. Flank, I don't know why I'd put that in the front. Inspire, there's probably certain situations where this can be a decent card. But yeah, I don't use that card a whole lot. Don't use the Leopard either, but look at this. For 5 mana at max level, it's doing 5 damage. You know, decent armor and health, and Retaliate. So a lot of good cards in the Chaos reward set. The Slinger, you know, with that Impede, where he reduces speed. He has a Slow, which is awesome. Reflection Shield and Redemption. The Arborist, which is another great card for death. I love the Demoralize. I've won a lot of games using this card, just being able to knock his melee attack down by 1 when I know he's going to go melee heavy. Magic Reflect is always nice, and then Void. This card is so key if you're going up against teams that play Moxie and Rebel. So if you can throw this in the front, and he's only doing 1 magic damage with all those you know, non-attacking cards, this card will not take any damage, and then it will reflect it back. So don't overlook the Arborist. Dragon Egg Forager. Why is this card not epic? 5 mana, 5 damage with opportunity and scavenge. So he's going to be killing things and getting bigger. He's going to be eating them as he destroys your opponent. And then finally, Chaos. As you know from earlier, there's hardly any cards with poison. So how many cards had poison? Was it like 1 or 2? 2, and Puffer doesn't count because he doesn't attack normally. So Chaos Jailer for death is really the only card that has poison. So now you've got a neutral card that can poison and scattershot magic damage around. So won't go through the epics and legendaries. You guys already know the epics are key just for all the new abilities. You guys know my favorite card is the Weaver. I really don't play Olivia the Brook. Night Reaper is awesome for that extra 2 damage against flying. The Blade, you know, with opportunity and expose. Halfling Refugee is just such a great filler card, you know, for the 1 mana. And the legendary cards, I'm beginning to appreciate a little bit more. I was kind of down on them when they first came out, but there's not a lot of good 1 mana cost cards in the base set. So if you can pick up a filler card, I mean, it kind of stinks that they're legendary, so they're more expensive. But if you can get at least 1 copy of each of the 1 mana cost cards, that's great to just kind of fill in your deck. And then these 2 cards having Taunt is huge. As you know, Rebellion Core is very light on Taunt. So if you can grab a couple more Taunt monsters simply by getting lucky in your rewards, you definitely want those 2. Emberguard with the Demoralize. There's not a lot of Demoralize as well. So he gets Demoralized right at level 1. And finally, the Chaos Battle Mage. I really like the combination of the piercing, so that damage is going to go through. Rebirth, you know, Divine Shield, it'll take a hit, and then if it does die, Redemption. So it's going to die, do the 1 damage to the enemy. It's going to come back. If it dies, it's going to do a second Redemption. So beginning to appreciate the legendaries a little bit more. I currently do not have any of them. You guys know I've been focusing on specific draws. So I think I might start getting some chests and hoping I can get some legendary cards. Okay, guys, there you have it. There is the Chaos Legion kind of review and how it's going to compare with Rebellion. Overall, my impressions of Rebellion, the core set, is it's extremely underpowered compared to what we're used to in Chaos Legion and the Chaos Legion reward cards. Yes, they were printed way above and beyond what probably we need with the current player base, but such powerful cards. So with Rebellion not being as strong, I hope in the last 10 minutes or so you've learned how good the Rebellion reward cards are. Hopefully you guys are building up these cards, getting them leveled to where you need to be. I would hold on to extras because I think when the new players come in, especially as we get closer to April, a lot of players are going to have their cards maxed or, where they need to be. If you do have any extras, hang on to them because the newer players are going to need them. Maybe they're not going to have a lot of time to grind them and pick them up. And I think a lot of them are going to be very, very desirable. So that's just my 2 cents there. So hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow I will work on part 2. So we're going to work on some new strategies. We're going to work on the strengths of each splinter. So we're going to go through Rebellion, the core, and reward cards. And we are going to go through just splinter by splinter. So we're going to look at each splinter and we're going to just kind of decide, okay, what is going to be my tank? What's going to be my support? What kind of options do I have? Can I do a sneak team? What kind of teams can I put together going forward now that Chaos Legion is gone? So it's going to take me a while to put that together. I hope to get it out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Hope you guys are excited. I'm excited for next year. And as always, stay the course, keep on forging, have fun, and go earn those reward cards. Take care.